David here with Figboot on Pens. Today we're going to be talking about a pen from an American company by the name of Levenger. We're going to be talking a little bit about the company itself, then go over the parts and features of the pen, some of the things I care for and some of the things I don't care for. I'm going to show some measurements, some size comparisons, and then provide a writing sample. Levenger was founded in 1987 by Steve and Lori Levine, and they went ahead and combined Steve's last name of Levine with Lori's last name, her maiden name of Granger, to form Levenger. It was founded in Boston, but now it's based in South Florida. And basically Levenger is a catalog company, and it focuses on productivity tools for professionals, things like bags and paper products and desk accessories and pens. The site and the catalog sell a lot of their proprietary items, but then also they sell items from other manufacturers as well. And the pen we're going to take a look at today is the Levenger L-Tech 3.0. Now, I'm not quite sure if there was ever a 2.0 or a 1.0. I couldn't find any history on that, or if the 3.0 is the very first one in the line. But what I do know is it comes in this very cool box, this little metal strong box. And this is what first attracted me to this pen, was I thought this box was kind of cool. And inside the box, we have some generic filling instructions on how to fill the pen, and then we have the pen itself, which sits in a little indentation here in the foam. And then we have a couple of styluses, which we'll go over in just a little bit. This is actually the only pen in my collection that I actually keep in its box. Everything else I have cases and cabinets for, but this one stays in its box just because I think this box is kind of cool. The pen is solid machined brass, and it has a decent heft, and it's very reminiscent of the Rotring 600. And the finial here we'll start with unscrews, and you could see here the brass that's underneath. And then we have the different styluses that I talked about, and what happens is you can put the different styluses on the end here, and they're a little interchangeable. Here's a picture of the different finial options. There is the flat option, then there is a black silicone option, and then a gray mesh fabric option. I've tried both of them out. I'm not quite sure what the benefit is to either the silicone or the gray mesh, or if it's just a preference. But I tried them both out. They work. It's just something that I typically don't use. One thing that is a little bit odd is that if you do have one of the styluses on the tip, the pen won't fit back in its case. So you have to take the stylus off in order to make it fit back in the case. You think they would have made it just slightly larger, or the indent slightly larger, so that you could fit it back here with the stylus. That would have been nice. The clip here is very springy. It has a lot of spring to it, and it's a little bit on the flimsy side. I think that it wouldn't take much pressure whatsoever to really dent this thing or really bend it. It's just a little bit on the flimsy side. The barrel is actually 7-faceted, and you can see here that there's 7 different facets to the barrel. And the cap is perfectly straight, and then there's a small transition to the barrel, which is straight as well. And it goes over here to a peg in the back, and then just a flat end. We unscrew this cap, and this is one of the best things about this pen, is you can see here that right now the pen lines up. The facets line up exactly. And no matter what I do, no matter how I unscrew this and screw it back in, no matter what I do, it will always, no matter how many times I go to other threads, it will always come back to being perfectly straight. So I really, really appreciate that that craftsmanship, and that's one of those little things that I really appreciate, that you can never get it out of line. So what we have here is a very nice black lacquered nib. According to Levenger, it's a German nib. I'm unsure what brand it is. And that it's actually smoother than I expected, but with a touch of what I call good feedback. The section is knurled, and that here's a close-up picture of that knurling. And the threads right behind the section are a little bit on the sharp side. The knurling is a little sharp as well. If you really push your finger against it, it's not the smoothest surface, but it does provide a very, very solid grip. And the section is rather long, so you're really not feeling these the threads in the back that are a little bit on the sharper side. That the pen posts very securely. But it does backweight the pen a great deal. So I'd say for the most part, I use this pen uncapped or unposted. It is a bit on the heavy side, but we'll say it's a good heavy. It's not heavy for the sake of being heavy. Like there's some pens, like some of the Jinhaos that are very heavy. I feel like it's just, they make it a little heavier to almost give the deception of being quality. And sometimes heavy weight doesn't necessarily equate to quality. But this is very solid pen and nicely distributed weight. Now, when you put the cap on the end, it does get a little out of balance. But without the cap posted, that it's the weight is distributed very nicely. And it's a very, very solid pen and very well made. I picked this pen up off of Massdrop and it was $59. You can pick this pen up from Levenger's site directly and it's $99. At $59, which they have it on Massdrop on a regular basis, I feel that this is a very good value for this pen. The pen surprised me. I purchased this pen mainly because the box was really cool and the pen had a kind of a neat drafting pen design to it that was unlike anything else in my collection. And like I said, I was actually very impressed with the way that the L-Tech performed. I could do without the stylus. I personally don't use it, but I'm sure that there's lots of folks out there that do. So in that regard, it's a nice addition. So now we're going to show some measurements and some size comparisons, and then we'll provide a writing sample. Here we go with some size comparisons for the Levenger L-Tech 3.0. We have a Pilot Metropolitan, actually very close to the Pilot Metro. We have a Lamy Safari, and we have a TWSBI Eco. Can you see the theme here? Black pens. So here are some things outside of the price range. For some comparison, here is a Pilot Vanishing Point. Then here is a Mont Blanc 146. And then we have a new toy that we will definitely be talking about later, which is a Sailor King of Pen. And you can see how that is substantially larger than the Levenger L-Tech. So we have here is the Levenger L-Tech 3.0, and this is a medium steel nib, and the ink we're using today is the Roaring Klingner Verdigris. I think that was more of the angle I was writing at, not the pen. The Verdigris comes in this bottle. I kind of like the Roaring Klingner bottles. They just have an interesting look to them. And this is what the ink looks like. It's a nice blue-green, more blue than green. The closest thing I have to it might be the Newler's 54th, which is a little more green than blue, but it's in that family. And the ink behaves well. So here we go with the rest of the writing sample. Lazy Dog. This, for a steel nib, this is very smooth. That again, that was more the angle that I was writing at. You can get a little bit of line variation out of here. It seems like it's a little smoother on the downstrokes than it is on the side strokes. And in regard to wetness, I'd say this is probably a medium wetness, not too dry, but not necessarily a gusher by any means. In regard to reverse writing, it's actually very smooth and writes very well in reverse writing. And so in regard to some fast writing, doesn't have any problem in keeping up at all. So the Levenger L-Tech 3.0, it performs very well. It's a solid, well-made pen that's a less expensive alternative to the Rotring 600. So if you like these reviews, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.